And Diana is actually blood related to the Merovingian line. This is the Ritz Hotel, owned by Mohammed Al-Fayed, and all around the square, it's called the Vendome, you see at first floor level depictions in gold of that symbol I talked about a long time ago, the circle, the cross, and the sun on the center. And it comes from one of the French kings, one of the Louis, who was known as the Sun King, who built the Palace of Versailles. And in the back of the Palace of Versailles, in the grounds, is a depiction of the goddess Diana, which this aristocratic bloodline network very much focus on as one of their deities. Someone said, this is the Kennedy assassination here, something very true. When you're trying to understand who was behind an assassination, look at who had the power to remove the security at the crucial time. Because he said assassinations don't just happen, they are allowed to happen. And when you look at the footage taken on a camera, a video camera, by a member of the public when Rabin, the Israeli Prime Minister, was assassinated, it's extraordinary. You have the line of soldiers lined up to protect Rabin as he came to his car, and in among them is the guy who killed him. As Rabin appears on this video, extraordinary sight, the soldiers just walk backwards, leaving the assassin on his own. Rabin walks past him, thank you very much, good night. And it's the same with the Kennedy assassination and so many others. This is the point where Kennedy was hit. This is Kennedy's car at the front. There's nobody on it. And yet you look at the car behind, which doesn't carry the President of the United States, there's 4 security guards and 2 outriders. If they'd have been there, of course, Kennedy could not have been killed by a bullet from outside because he was so well protected. But the whole thing was removed, the security, to allow it to happen. And it was the same in Paris on that night. This is the Place de la Concorde, and there is the obelisk, the 3,200-year-old Luxor obelisk, which was about a minute's drive that night from the crash, and Diana went round there on the way to the scene. This is Trevor Rees-Jones. When asked why he put his seatbelt on, he says he doesn't remember, and maybe we'll never know, but it's got to be one or the other. When the car came down to the tunnel here at the Pont d'Alma, it's a series of crossroads, and that's very, very significant, because these deities who are symbolic of the moon and various energies, they're broken up into different polarities. You've got Diana, which is the positive moon energy, and then you've got the negative force, which is called Hecate, which is the goddess of the crossroads, and she's symbolized by crossroads and all over the world. The Hecate satanic symbolism can be seen in the ceremonies and what have you. And so here we have a situation now where Diana, goddess of the moon, is taken into an ancient sacrificial site to the goddess Diana, dies in a tunnel which is called Bridge or Passage of the Moon Goddess, and is also covered with crossroads to the goddess Hecate, which is the malevolent symbol of the moon energy. This is the Pont d'Alma tunnel. It's very short, and I've been through it, and they keep telling me in the media it's very dangerous. I didn't really see that myself. And it's very close to the Arc de Triomphe, which is another obelisk symbol. This is the 13th pillar, and there's no way that car hit the 13th pillar, given the obsession with symbolism of this brotherhood, unless it was meant to happen. I've talked to people who are experts in this mind control, who work to deprogram people who have been mind controlled in this way. And I said to them, is it possible to mind control a driver on a subconscious level to go into that tunnel and just whack the 13th pillar? Because, of course, in the conscious level, you'd say, come on, it's not possible. And everyone has said, absolutely, for this reason. The conscious level has a certain feeling of time. So going into the tunnel at 60, 70, 80 miles an hour and then hitting the 13th pillar, you must be joking. But the subconscious level has a completely different perception of time. 60, 70 miles an hour to that is walking pace. Therefore, the programming goes in at the subconscious level making that hit the 13th pillar at speed, piece of cake according to these experts I've spoken to. Diana actually survived the crash, all reports say that, but instead of being taken to hospital, where she could have got treatment that could have saved her life, she was held in that tunnel for a very, very long time. Medical experts outside of France have said it's ridiculous how long it took. About 95 minutes from the crash to get her to hospital, by which time she was clinically dead. Between the Ritz and the tunnel are 17 of these things, traffic cameras, which are filming the road which the car passed down. Had they been on that night, we wouldn't be standing here saying, well, I wonder what happened, could have been this, could have been that. We'd have seen it. All 17 were switched off in the period it took the car to get from the Ritz to the tunnel. Not only that, people who were tuning in that night in Paris to the police frequencies, as some people do, have reported that the police frequencies in central Paris were also switched off in the period it took the car to get to the tunnel. Just a coincidence, nothing to worry about. This is the shot that that particular camera would have had. The Mercedes came in on this side of the road, and had that camera been on, everyone would have known by now what happened. They could have seen it, but it was switched off, or at least we're told it was. And so we have a situation in which Diana was held in that place for all that time, and she was clinically dead by the time she left it. And the question has been, even from people who've said, yes, it was an accident, why did they do that? Because, according to the strict and obsessional symbolic ritual of this brotherhood, she had to die in that underground chamber on the site of ancient Diana worship and sacrifice to Diana. There's no way she was going to be allowed to leave the tunnel until she was dead, and so they kept her there all that time, when most doctors, as some have pointed out, would have had her to hospital as quick as possible, and she'd still be alive today, almost certainly. So the Diana story is just full of endless symbolism, and I'm just skipping the surface here. The detail is absolutely mind-blowing. This is the top of the Pont d'Alma tunnel. And as I mentioned earlier, there is the depiction of the flame held by the Statue of Liberties in Paris and in New York, standing on a black pentagram, the classic satanic symbol. And that is where they take the flowers and stuff now. This area of Paris with the Eiffel Tower, the River Seine, is an ancient sacred site to this brotherhood. And it's absolutely no coincidence that this is where they brought Diana to die that night. Indeed, when you go through her life in general, you find that the symbolism of the goddess Diana comes up again and again. When she married Prince Charles, they married her in St. Paul's Cathedral. St. Paul's Cathedral is on an ancient site of goddess Diana worship. And when they brought her coffin out of Paris, it wasn't with the Union Jack and the flag of the country, it was with the flag of the royal family, full of these old symbols of the sun going back to the ancient world. And as I've pointed out many times, and with a lot of supporting evidence, the British royal family were definitely involved in her murder. Interestingly, when the crash happened, this guy comes into focus. This is Diana's brother, Earl Spencer. And there's one or two questions I'd like to ask him, really, because the symbolism of the goddess Diana in the ancient world related again and again to the tree grove, which is the sacred place to the goddess Diana. That's where they used to worship her, in the tree grove. Lakes and islands. Those three things keep reoccurring again and again and again in the stories of the goddess Diana. This is where they put her grave, on an island, in the tree grove, in the middle of a lake on the Althorpe estate, the Spencer estate. And those decisions, at least on the surface, were made by Earl Spencer. He also said in a BBC television interview that after the crash he had a dream in which he was told to put 4 black swans on the lake around the grave. And the next day he said he called his estate manager and asked, where do I get 4 black swans? And his estate manager apparently replied, according to the official story, you've heard then. You've heard what? We've just been given 4 black swans. Okay, well, the pigs are filling the room again. I don't really accept that. What is the symbolism of 4 black swans? First of all, when you look into the mind control programs, the swan is very symbolic to the mind control programs. But there's another one. Just take Swan Lake. Swan Lake, in which the white swan, symbolic of the positive, was killed by the black swan, symbolic of the negative. And here you had the positive Diana energy killed by this brotherhood, and the 4 black swans on the lake are tremendous symbolism, occult symbolism of that negative force overcoming the positive. And in the Althorpe estate now you have this, what you might call temple to Diana, and on many of the aristocratic estates and stately homes of England that carry these reptile human bloodlines, you find either temples to the goddess Diana in the grounds or areas of the stately home handed over to the goddess Diana. So this lady was a great example of the way that people are not just assassinated, but are assassinated in a way that follows ancient ritual. Because ritual is very powerful. If you do things in a certain ritual way, it generates a much more powerful energy than if you just killed someone in a straightforward way. But as I say, in The Biggest Secret, I go into this in enormous detail, and the symbolism is just stunning of this event. Okay, we're in the modern world. We've come a long way over thousands of years. This brotherhood, as it came out of the Near and Middle East into Europe and then through the British Empire across the world. And we're now at the point where the control of the globe is possible. And we're also at a point, a crossroads, where we can choose to take the road of freedom, or we can choose to stay as we are and allow this agenda to unfold and further imprison, in a most extreme way, the human race in the next few years. Just a choice. We take that choice, this is gone. But we need to make that choice and do something about it. The aim of this agenda over this long period of time has been to create this structure. And don't take my word for it, just look around the world. It's unfolding now. This is not a theory or a prophecy. It's happening on CNN when you turn on every day. You're seeing it unfold. It is to have a world government which would control a world central bank, a world currency, a world army, and a microchip population. The microchip population is already being introduced. Under that structure of world government, the army, incidentally, the world army is designed to be NATO, gathering more and more countries and then becoming the world army by stealth. Under that world government is a European Union, which is now with a single bank and a single currency and very much in place. The American Union, the America's version of the European Union. The European Union came out of a free trade area called the Common Market, the EEC. The American Union is designed to evolve out of NAFTA, another free trade area, North American Free Trade Agreement. And in 1994, APEC, another free trade area, was created in the East and the Australia area, and that is designed to evolve into the Pacific Union. Under that is designed to come nation states and regions, and then the people, with no power whatsoever to control their own destiny, because the major decisions are made at these higher levels of power, particularly the world level. The microchip is being suggested all over the world. This is a guy at Reading University in England who was microchipped as part of a kind of experiment, but it's not really an experiment. All over the world in our lives now, that we're being prepared to take the microchip. People on one level think it's about electronic tagging and it's about knowing where people are, and that's okay, that's on one level of it. But it's more than that. The guy I talked about very early on in this video series, the guy with the patch on his chest who works for the CIA against his will, he was telling me, and other people have done too, what the microchip can really do. And if we allow ourselves to be microchipped on the basis of, oh, well, it's better than having credit cards and money, that's what the cashless society is about. It's about getting people to be microchipped. and we'll never lose our child again if we microchip them at birth. All this stuff's being suggested now. But he said, you know, when people are microchipped, they are giving external control of their physical health, their emotions, and their mental processes, their mental faculties, their mental perception to whoever controls the microchip. And if everyone's microchipped, you suddenly got mass control on the end of a button, almost, of the population. That's the idea.